one other angle of this. So now the mother and a sister came in for the court appearance, and Pat Nunez was telling me, you know, I want you to meet the family. They want to meet you. And I just watched your presentation with Mike O'Keefe.
Yes.
His good friend, a great cop. And he was talking about his philosophy in terms of getting emotionally invested. And I took the other angle. My angle was, I didn't want to know if you got invited to the prom. I didn't want to know what your favorite song was. Let me know enough to solve this case, because I don't have enough heart for everybody in the world. So that was the way I dealt with it. So
Right.
I told Pat, I'm not doing it. So she's like, please, they're really nice people. They want to meet you. And let me back up for a second too to point this out. The father subsequently had died. The father was actually notified by the press in California while we were still at the location. That's how he learned about his daughter's death and dismemberment.
Oh, horrible.
I mean, what can you say? So, so Pat says to me, you know, as a personal favor, please come to dinner. So I was like, all right.
A lot was going out to dinner with them. That's
Right.
More, yeah.
Right. So I was very reluctant, and it turned out it was great. It was great. I felt so connected to these people, and it just made a good job, a sad job, but a good job, even more rewarding. And I remember the mother, she was a, you know, demure older woman, and she said to me at one point, she asked me about him, and I said, you know, he, you know, didn't seem like that type. I said, as a matter of fact, in terms of his nature, he seemed a little bit like a little bit effeminate almost. And she said, do you think he's having a hard time in prison? He might be.
Yeah.
She seemed to take a certain satisfaction from that, although she was too much of a lady to say it.
Right.
So anyway, we had a really wonderful time. We really connected. Somehow, I got stuck with the bill.
Oh my God.
I'll never forgive Pat for that one. She forgot her wallet, you know. So,
Oh my God. I was going to say, no wonder you just wanted a free meal like every cop, you know.
yeah, no. So I got the short end of the stick.
Wow.
So, but interesting enough, so here's a guy that doesn't want to invest emotionally, etc. So the mother was from a town named Pacific Grove, out on the coast of California by Monterey Bay, and a very good friend of mine from college lived in Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime later, my wife and I went out to visit my friend, and I had the mother's address, and I went to her house, and we were there. Maybe it was 2 PM or something, and I must have walked up and down in front of her house 100 times. I wasn't sure, you know. I mean, we really clicked that night, but
Yeah.
you know, who knows? You know, the time and the pain and the loss, etc. You know, maybe I represent something she doesn't want to be reminded of. And ultimately, my wife said, "Just knock on the door. Just knock on the door." And I did, and we had the greatest reunion. And I was so glad we did. And then we went out to dinner that night, myself, the mother, and my wife. And we went to
I hope someone else paid this time.
No, I got stuck. But the funny
You got stuck again? Oh my God.
you can't make the lady. I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah.
But the funny part was a kind of a funny last note on the case was that we go to this restaurant, nothing fancy, but it's on the bay. And they sit us at a table, and there's a table to our left. It's right on the window overlooking the bay. So I'm just about to say to the waiter, could we have that table? And with that, I hear the owner saying, "Oh, Mr. Madden, welcome. Your regular table is available." It was John Madden. That was
Madden.
So,
That's a good story to tell.
yeah, so I wasn't getting his table, that's for sure. So that's
But the case did go to trial. How long did the trial last?
like I said, I can't remember specifically if he took a plea after the hearings,
Okay.
plea after 1 day of trial. I can't remember
Yeah.
if that was.
That's really a horrendous case, man. It's you wonder why this woman who was the victim that was so smart and she was going for a PhD and she didn't sense danger with this guy, you know.
Yeah. It's I've really never come to terms with that myself. You know, I just never really, like I've said it today, and I'm sure I'll say it again. If I didn't find that torso in that room, or Joe didn't, or we didn't, whatever, you know, I don't know. It just he could have gotten away with it. I think, you know, especially if that body had ended up in the garbage. I've had a case like that, and if there's any time element, those body parts end up like on 8 stories of garbage. You're not getting it. And
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, so thankfully that wasn't the way it went. But you know, it was just, yeah, it was a real kind of mind-bending kind of experience, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've in my homicide career, we've had dismembered bodies and stuff like that, and it's you can't even fathom it. It's not a human experience that you want to see, or even when you tell people about it, it's so horrible to try to explain it to them.
I'll tell you, I'm actually smiling. This is, maybe I am twisted. I remember we had a drug-related homicide, thankfully, and they put the guy in a refrigerator, and then they chopped his legs off and put it on his chest. And I was there with one of my partners, John Borges, and we both looked at each other and we said, wouldn't it have been simpler to put him on his stomach and bend his legs up? And John had a great line he would use very often.
That's compliment. Yeah.
In situations like this, John says, do you think we just catch the stupid ones?
What the perpetrator in this? What sentence did he receive?
Yeah, 15 to life. I don't know if he's.
It's 15 to life.
Yeah. Yep. So it's funny because in looking this up again, I actually came across a letter that one of those friends had written to the parole board in 2006 to try to keep him in. So I imagine all these years later, he must be out.
He must be out. Yeah, he must be out.
I doubt he got released at that point. I'm sure, but yeah. And I don't know if that had something to do with the attorney. Sometimes that happens. You get these exceptional defense attorneys, and ADAs are maybe willing to.
I mean, to me, that has 25 to life written all over it, or life without parole written all over it. I can't understand a 15 to life on a case like that.
Yeah. That was it. 15 to life. Because, like I said, I saw a letter from 2006.
I mean, I wouldn't be, if that was a family member of mine, I wouldn't be satisfied with that sentence.
No, I've seen it before. I've seen it in worse cases before where they, 15 to life. And I remember one time the DA was afraid. It was a long, how should I put it, interview. It wasn't an interrogation because the guy wasn't in custody. But by the time he confessed, we were together maybe 5 hours. And, there comes a question whether that's too long. And I remember the DA ended up taking a 15-year plea on that case, and because he was afraid of how the jury would go with the because you can win in a suppression hearing, but the jury themselves can decide it was too long.
Sure.
And he was afraid of that. He took a 15-year plea, and after he took the plea, he talked to the jurors, and they all said, yeah, not half, but some of them said, we thought that was too long, but we didn't care. And he kicked himself in the butt for taking the plea.
Well, look, it's always rolling the dice for a prosecutor to to give it to the jury and see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, it just takes one screwball, and you've got a problem. I had a case again years ago where I was going out with the lead ADA, and he told the second seed who was picking the jury, do not pick this guy. And the guy got the jury, and she said, I couldn't avoid it. There was a good reason. She was an excellent ADA herself. And sure as hell, that guy, when it came time to deliberate, he just took his chair and faced the corner and never spoke. So he hung the jury up. But like you say, it's a roll of the dice. You don't know, what
they call that, the voir dire or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't speak French, but
something like that. Yeah.
It's something like that where the prosecution and defense can each get like 2 people that they don't have to explain why they don't like them. Just
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But who knew? Like,
I just want that one off. Well, Tim, we're actually almost at close to an hour.
Wow.
This was a super interesting case, and
I'm glad you found it interesting.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
I've enjoyed it.
Just the most elite detectives come on.
Nice to see.
Cuff,
even if I'm not,
stories,
even if I was in first grade.
Yeah. And even though you were dopey enough to retire after a month of having second grade,
there's a reason for that. There's a reason.
Pensionable. I'll still praise you.
No,
but,
it was.
You have anything you want to plug?
I just want to explain. I was in the class of '79.
Mm-hmm.
My 20 came up. There were a lot of jobs out there available. Yeah. Guys weren't retiring in droves yet, so that played a bit of a role in it too. And then there's also pension roulette, which was still in effect back then.
Yeah.
So, a couple of factors there, But I regret it every time my pension check comes in.
Yeah. I mean, wow, you were on the road to, you would have definitely gotten first grade down the road. A couple more years. They were, there's because of CompStat, they started giving out grade much
Yeah.
more often than they gave in years past. I remember when I went to the 2-3 squad in 1997, I was a sergeant. I had the RIP. That was a superstar squad. Not
Yeah.
a single guy in that squad had grade.
Same thing in North in the 3-4. I think Joe Monterey was the only guy with grade.
Yeah,
And
it was unbelievable.
it was super, you know, just
That was when all the chiefs, little suck boys and suck girls got grade.
yeah.
And all the hardworking detectives were passed over. It was a contract. It was political.
Well, I might have mentioned in my own career, I would get calls every 6 months. Hey, you're number 3, you're number 4, you're number this, and then it come out and I was gone.
Right,
And
right.
you know, I might have described I was the Susan Lucci of grade because she.
Yeah, they say, "Oh, you're on the grid." Yeah, what grid? What grid am I on? That grid's bullshit. When someone can pick up a phone and say, "Move my guy ahead."
Yeah, well, I got to tell
Tim
you,
Muldoon, you know.
one serious on a serious note about that, we had a guy in the 3-4 who came to us from narcotics, and he was so gifted, and he was gonna set a new standard. And because he needed the money and his family and whatnot, he went and ended up driving a deputy mayor or something. And I always pointed to him to say, people are dead today that would be alive if he had actually didn't have to go that way to get grade.
Yeah.
He paid and worked on cases.
Hey, we're all masters of our own destiny, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't hold it against him at all.
Yeah.
Just that was the system,
We
you
all
know.
make our own choices.
Yeah. No, he was a solid guy and he did what he had to do for his family.
Yeah.
Too bad the job made it that it had to be that way, you know. But on the whole, no complaints.
Tim, you have anything you want to plug?
Nah, nothing. It's all good.
It's all good. All right, listen. I'm Bill Cannon. This is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories, and I'd like to thank our guest once again, retired 2nd grade for 1 month detective Tim Muldoon.
Thanks so much, Phil. Bye-bye.
Thank you.